What if the helmet you helm as hero weren't forged from fantasy alone, but fused with the fractures of forgotten futures? A gleaming guise that guards not just against ghouls, but the ghosts of grown-up grievances, compelling you to quaff celebrations laced with the lingering liquor of loss, much like the poisoned goblets in Hamlet's haunted halls or the victory vintages of Waterloo's weary warriors, where one raised glass could rally the remnants or reveal the rot beneath the revelry. Inhale the heady haze of barroom bonhomie thick with the tang of tsuken skewers and sake's sharp sting. Taste the salty savor of shared snacks on your lips like a sacrament from a makeshift shrine to shattered dreams. Feel the warm weight of a comrade's clap on your back resonating through your ribs, as if echoing the empty ache of aspirations unachieved, while shadows of shocker slink like specters from a script sprung sinister. This is the intoxicating irony of Tojima Wants to be a Kamen Rider's Episode 6, Order Some Snacks, which uncorked on November 8, 2025, pouring deeper into the idol arc's inebriated introspection, where Tanzaburo Tojima's midlife metamorphosis from fanboy to fighter ferments amid the froth of fictional foes bleeding into the banal, his band of believers now toasting tentative triumphs that tease the turn toward tokusatsu tragedy. It intoxicates from the incursion's initial inrush, a heady blend of heroism and heartache that dangles the draft of despair without downing its dregs, teasing the tipping point of toasts turned to turmoil. Have you ever lifted a libation in life's liminal lounges, cheers chiming like chains in your chest, soul suspended between the balm of brotherhood and the bite of betrayal's brewing, wondering if the next sip summons solidarity or merely sours the sentiment you savor? The episode evokes that elixir, its effervescence bubbling just beneath the brim, suspense a subtle sediment settling in your stomach, curiosity the compulsive cork pop of concealed crises, luring you to linger at the bar where one more order might orchestrate not just ovation, but the overture to oblivion you've obliquely orchestrated in your own overlooked odysseys. In the aftermath of Episode 5's matrimonial melee, where Tojima's troupe tangled with titanic terrors amid wedding vows warped by wedding crashers, their amateur ardor a tenuous tether against Shocker's surging shadows. This chapter decants the drama into a dive bar's dim domain, the crew converging on clinking cups like conquistadors carousing post-conquest in Cortez's candlelit camps, each quaff a quiet quandary amid the clamor. Spider-Man's sinister strike sparks a skirmish that surges like a saloon brawl in Wild West whispers. Tojima's timely takedown a testament to tenacity that tempers the tumult, while heartfelt hurrahs herald nuptial news and nascent alliances. Revelations ripple through the revelry, Yakuza undercurrents underscoring the underworld's unseen upswell, bridging the bar's bonfire of bonds to broader battlements. Cliffhangers chill a colossal creeper cresting in the closing shadows. You can almost hear the harmonious hum of henshin echoes harmonizing with heartfelt toasts, smell the savory sizzle of snacks searing over shared stories. Doesn't it needle at you, that nexus of nostalgia and nemesis, urging you to pull up a stool and sip the saga before the bar tab tallies to tragedy? Episode 6 propels the narrative with the potency of a potent pour, advancing Tojima's tokusatsu-tainted travail from fervent fray to fermented fellowship, where Spider-Man's assault unveils Komoda's dual duplicity, a revelation that ratchets the reverence from idle imitation to insidious infiltration. The dive bar debrief a twist that tantalizes the idol arc's escalation into existential enmity, faithful to Manga Chapter 9, The Saloon Solace, wherein the sibling soliloquy sutures not just scars, but the series' satirical skewer of superfandom's self-sabotage. Revelations cascade. Meet Suba's matrimonial merger melding mirth with menace, a pivotal pivot that plunges toward Chapter 10's Yakuza yarn, culminating in a cliffhanger of colossal confrontation that crests without crashing. Pacing masters a measured mead, languid in the libation's lingering levity, akin to the reflective respites before the OK Corral's crackle and tombstone, explosive in the ensuing entanglement that escalates without exhaustion, dramatic equipoise, exquisite equilibrium interweaving introspections itch with incursion's ire. Fans flag cloudy aspects, Komoda's covert creep amid the crew's clueless cheer, the power of love's precipitous proposal, or Spider-Man's swift subsidence. But Manga Chapters 8 to 10 demystifies. Komoda's camouflage echoes Shibata's deliberate deference to Kamen Rider's kaijin cunning, as unpacked in the manga's afterword on tokusatsu treachery. A thematic tether to Toei's trope of talkative takedowns, the proposal's punch, per Chapter 9's panel pyrotechnics, leverages lore's heart henshin heuristic, negating neural nets via narrative necessity, not Deus Ex, but deliberate deconstruction of despair. Spider-Man's subsidence, drawn from Ishimori's input on Shocker schematics, echoed in Volume 2's appendices, enriches the anime with the manga's metamusings on monster motifs, beckoning back to the book's blueprint for the fanboy fracture that fractures fandom into fervent faith. Tojima doesn't merely toast, he transmutes. His psyche a palimpsest pricked by peril's poignant prickle, wounds from wistful worship foster fostering a fierce fidelity that's transformative in its tenacity. Choices to champion the chaos consistent with his dreamer dogma yet surprising in selfless synergy. Motivations mutating from myopic mimicry to mosaic martyrdom. A mosaic of the man who mused on masks now manifesting as mentor amid the melee. Yukarisu, the managerial mainstay, deepens from comic conduit to cathartic core, his hidden hesitations, fueled by forgotten fancies. Yielding to yearning's quake, the proposal a pivotal pivot that humanizes the humorist, dialogues dripping with dawning devotion that surprise with synaptic shatter. Mitsuba, Riderman's reluctant redeemer, blooms from backdrop to beacon, his sibling scars propelling a paternal plea that's equal parts prowess and penance, consistent with his concealed competence yet transformative in tender tenacity. Heroism here is the helmet's hollow hymn. Tojima's takedown a labyrinthine lesson in power's protean play. Does emulating idols elevate the everyman, or erode the essence? Manifesting in Yukarisu's love-laced liberation as a grotesque gospel of Getter's grace? Hope haunts the hazardous harbor of half-forged heroes, survival stratagem dueling sacrifices spectral snare in the melee's manic maw. Evident in Mitsuba's mid-fight manifesto, a Camus-esque confrontation with the absurd evoking the Colosseum's cries in Gladiator's gladiatorial gospels, where despair's dragnet yields to love's latent light, much like dissidents' defiant declarations in Dunkirk's desperate dunes. Probing. In a world where worship warps the worshipper, can one henshin heal the heart or merely heighten the havoc? Shocker schematics and Riderman's relics layer the lore with luminous legacy, introducing lore accuracy edicts, cultural covenants capping cosplay's creed, per manga's Chapter 9 interludes on tokusatsu tenets that complicate the cosmos with conspiratorial cleavages, enriching the ether with ethical entanglements while Tokyo's tokusatsu-tainted terrain teases transnational treacheries, transmuting the tapestry from trope-trod terrain to textured tableau. Where idols inspire as insidiously as imperial icons, the script strikes with shuriken sharpness. Taut, torrid, its poetry in the profane paeans where order some snacks lands like a loaded lance's lethal lunge. Lines like Yukarisu's proposal carrying the cathartic cry of Romeo and Juliet's balcony ballad flipped to battleground, foreshadowing floods of fallout while reverberating in the Endrol's embers like an elegy's exhale. Impactful, impervious to parody's pitfalls, even Tojima's trembled taunts arrive with tokusatsu tenacity, evoking the elliptical exhortations of Akira's apocalyptic asides, each exclamation a ember embedded. I harbored Mitsuba's manifesto murmurs, there yank a yoke on my yoke. Tell me, dreamer, when did a hero's halting vow last mirror the unspoken covenants in your own counsels, compelling you to rewind, to reclaim the resonance before it fades? Art direction deploys dusk's destructive dyes, scarlet spatter searing against Shocker's obsidian opulence, lighting lacerating limbs in lurid limelight that opposes the club's collapsing chiaroscuro, shadows surging like suppressed sympathies in stasis that shatters to skirmishes spasm, fluidity in Riderman's riffs a frenzy of fortitude forged in fire. Beauty burns as bittersweet, symbolism searing sorrow's sacrament where crimson's cascade consecrates the cruel, Dutch dives into the duel's delirium heighten honor's hallucinatory haze, compositions cramming confessions in claustrophobic clutches akin to Kamen Rider's classic cuts, editing's escalation a euphoric eruption, lingering low angles lulling into lightning lashes that lash back with your own adrenaline, tension taut as tempered steel, your senses singed by the spectacle it singed me, this salvo, a searing seepage of solidarity and severance, fealty's fever flaring with the fervent phrase I've fathomed in my own fractious fellowships, wonder whipped in the wired warmth like wildfire after winter's wane, moments maul indelibly, that cataclysm of camaraderie and catastrophe, a rupture where regimens rend the realm, realigning rivalries into requiems redemptive, raw as the reckoning in a Ronin's reign when rain washes not wounds, but the why of the wield. It invokes immutable interrogations, allegiance's alchemical ache, as in the last samurai's Bushido burdens, lingering like litanies. In igniting the intimate inferno, do we illuminate the ideal, or incinerate the inheritance? You palpate the pyre's proximity, do you not, the phantom flicker of a fallen comrade's flame on your flesh, the paroxysm of a pledge proffered? It's no nominal narrative, it's necromancy, notching with notions that nestle in your night's hush, necessitating the next frame until the fervor forges you afresh. By reverse reading, the episode's alacrity, monologues amid mayhem, love's leverage abrupt, might murmur as manic misfires, pacing's pyretic pulses perilously proximate to pandemonium's pandering. Yet reconceive, these are no narrative nubs, but deliberate detonations, rapidity rooted in the manga's relentless rhythm, chapters 9 speech surges, thematic torches twining tokusatsu trope with transitional tension, convolution a cauldron complicating catharsis. Tojima's tenacity occasionally outpaces the team's orbit, a judicious jab, it accelerates the arc's allure, eluding ennui, albeit ancillary arcs averting fuller fruition. Acclaim predominates. Amid action aisles awash in artifice, Preface. This blaze bedazzles, transfiguring trifles into transcendental talismans. Order some snacks blazes in bold brilliance. Narrative nerve navigating the nebulous, aesthetics animating the arson, ephemeral embers eclipsed by a script that summons spirits, infirmity's faint flickers in the firmament. It incarnates the Chronicle's creed, not perfunctory punctures, but the pilgrimage through the pyres we populate, where dreamers eclipse despairs not in nullification, but in the humane heresy of honoring the haunt. I intuit infernos intensifying in idol's ides anon, yet evoke this, evocateur, as the screen's sable scorches and that ultimate upsurge undulates unyielding. Will you quench the coral's query, or embrace the ember that's been etching your ethos since the enmity first inflamed? The blaze beckons, your baptism begins with the breath.